Hey everybody, this is Townsend. I'm a singer, songwriter, musician, and mental health advocate, and I started the You're Not Alone project and podcast to help educate, spread awareness, and simply help you feel a little less alone, no matter what you're going through. Thank you so much for tuning in to Season 2 of You're Not Alone with Townsend. Be sure to click the follow button and share these stories. You can also watch the interviews on our YouTube under Townsendtmusic. You can also keep up with the journey if you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Townsendtmusic. Every like, follow, and share helps us continue to change lives. What is up, guys? It is your host, Townsend. Thank you so much for tuning in to You're Not Alone with Townsend. Today, we've got somebody that I actually had the honor of meeting last week, Miss Brandy Boyles. And I'm not gonna lie, she is styling and profiling right now. She's wearing a You're Not Alone with Townsend t-shirt. Yes, and it looks great. I'm not gonna lie, for people that aren't watching, you should snag one because there's no better t-shirt. It's the most comfortable, isn't it?
Oh, it is so comfortable. And seriously, if you do not have one, you got to get one because it's right up there with my top 3 favorite shirts.
Yes, I love it so much. She came ready. I'm digging it. I love it so much. So today we're going to be jumping into childhood cancer, which, man, is a tough topic. And I wouldn't have ever guessed when you met Brandy, she's so bubbly and happy. You'd never guess that she's had her hard days. And man, just thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate that.
Man, thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor. Like, I was fangirling so hard last week when I finally got to see you. I'm not gonna lie. It was like the best day ever. So,
Oh, I love
and
that.
I was
That's
like, and I
awesome.
get to be on your podcast.
Oh man, stop it. Stop it. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much. That is such an honor. I was doing the same with you. I think you're amazing. Well,
Oh,
let's
thank
go.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and hop in. So who the heck is Brandy Boyles? So what's your age? What's your job title? Obviously, we already know what we're going to be chit-chatting about, but your kids, how old are they? Yeah. Fill us all in. Tell us all
Okay.
about you, girl.
Yeah. Well, I'm Brandy, aka Bulldog. That's what the kids with the Heroes and Angels call me. Um, I'm 42. I've got 4 kids. They're all grown up. One of them is my bonus kid. I've actually given birth to 3. Um, so they're kind of all out doing their own thing. Um, I don't know. I never really felt comfortable talking about myself because I'm always, I'm like, when I have that chance to have that platform, I'm like, okay, guys, so guess what? Here's childhood cancer. We got to get going on this, So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'm a cosplayer. I I like to dress up as fictional characters and, go to conventions and pretend to be a pretty princess sometimes. Other times
Who
I'm the
doesn't want to
villain.
be?
So, that's always fun.
Who doesn't want to be someone else every now and then, right?
Yeah. I love motorcycles. I love riding. Um, I'm just about up for anything. I love to go play pool, throw some axes every once in a while. If there's
Okay.
food, I'm gonna be there. So that's always a good way to get me in. Just
Dude, that's what I'm
tell me
talking
there's gonna
about.
be food, I'm there.
Yeah. You love live music. I can tell that.
I love live music. Yes, I love music. Absolutely. It speaks to my soul. Especially when someone like yourself, when you can tell, that they just put their heart and soul into it and it's just their absolute passion and you can actually feel the words coming out. That's everything to me.
Okay.
And it's just like listening to you sing. Even if you're doing a cover, it's like you make it your own and it's so beautiful. Like right now I've got goosebumps thinking about it just because you make it your own. And for me, that's, you're sharing a part of your heart with everyone else. And there's nothing more beautiful than that.
Stop it. God, this podcast was all about you, and now I'm leaving feeling better about myself. What in the world? I love it. I need to call you every day just like to talk me up. That's what just compliment me, make me feel good about myself. I love it.
Dude,
That is
I've got a list. I could go on forever. You're amazing.
oh man, thank you
I
so
just
much.
speak the truth, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, we decided she could be my bodyguard. There's some weird things. There's some strange people out there that happen, especially when you're a female in the music industry and you're out super late. So we decided old Bulldog here could whip some tail and get those.
I do train jujitsu,
There you go.
so
See,
yeah.
everybody listening, be careful. Okay, let's hop in. So you're very passionate about childhood cancer, and I wanna go ahead and hop into this because I feel like this is
Okay.
something incredibly important. I feel like we see people post about it all the time, but we don't really ever
Mhm.
hear people dive into the details or maybe what it was like
Yeah,
because it is a hard conversation. So,
it is.
yeah, tell us why this topic is so special for you. I want to personally thank you for taking the time to listen to these conversations. It truly means so much. We've changed so many lives for the better, and we want to continue doing so throughout 2023. This project is made possible by sponsors and patrons. So if you'd like to help keep the You're Not Alone project going and hearing these amazing stories, we would love for you to join the family at patreon.com/TownsendTmusic. Just for signing up, you'll get free merch, discounts, and behind the scenes patron only footage. Not only of my music, but of each episode. That's right, so each guest on every episode answers a few more questions that only patrons will be able to watch and listen to. So head on over to patreon.com/TownsendTmusic and let's continue changing lives.
Okay. Well, my oldest daughter, Bailey, she's actually a two-time childhood cancer survivor. She was diagnosed when she was 2. We were a month shy of being in remission for 3 years when she relapsed, and she had to have a bone marrow transplant. Um, so that was our story. And for the longest time, even after she was because after 7 years, you're considered total remission. Um, those numbers change all the time. It's hard to keep up, but people don't realize what you go through at the time. Um, my biggest thing is with Heroes and Angels. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and, if that's okay, talk
Yeah,
about Heroes
go
and
right
Angels for
ahead.
just
Yeah,
a
please
second.
do.
We were actually, it was an accident. We were tagged in a post. There was a guy named Ken Betancourt that was riding his bicycle, not his motorcycle, his bicycle across the United States to raise awareness for childhood cancer. And his friend Jack Bernard lives here in Arkansas. So anyway, we got tagged in this, and they invited us to be special guests at their lemonade stand. Long story short, they had been talking about starting a nonprofit, and they invited me to join with them. And so Heroes and Angels was born. We did lose Ken this past February to lung cancer. He was also a brain cancer survivor. Um, but yeah, they met me. They're the ones that actually coined the bulldog, because they were like, you get your teeth into something and somebody's going to listen whether they want to or not.
I love it. We gotta have those
So,
people.
so I kind of became, the front man. And I was also the one that had, the more hands-on experience, with what was needed. And what we do is we focus on life outside the hospital, because that's where people tend to forget. So we worry about things like birthday parties, rent, gas, groceries, making sure that your lawn is getting mowed. A lot of people don't realize how easy it is to help out a family, because they're so overwhelmed when they hear the words childhood cancer. They're either too scared to ask questions, or they don't know what to ask. And so, what I always tell everybody is just ask. That's the biggest thing. Um, because cancer doesn't end when you leave the hospital, and it's not something that's going to be over in just a couple of months. And so that long-term support system is what we try to provide for these families, and what I especially try to advocate for. Obviously, yes, we need a cure, we need better treatments, we need, more options for our kids, but we have to have short-term goals in order to reach those long-term goals. And if we can support our families during this time, it gives our parents and our kids more room to focus on actually fighting, instead of having to worry about going to the grocery store, or whether or not, they're getting a ticket because they forgot to mow the yard before they had to run to the hospital, or if they're going to have gas to get to the ER, things like that. So
Love that so much. Now, how long has that
So
been
that's
going
where
on?
I'm at. That's what I focus on. So,
Yeah, I love it. How long have y'all been doing that now?
we were first officially established in 2015, October of 2015.
That is so
So,
amazing.
yeah, so we've got the best support system. I mean, in Arkansas, there's some of the most amazing groups that help us, like the Punishers Motorcycle Club, the LEMC. They are always there for us to help out. The Arkansas cosplay community, they came together. Um, they actually made me a con director. I didn't even realize I was putting on a Comic Con, and they told me I was. And so then it turned into our biggest fundraiser that we do each year, which is awesome. But one of those, again, things, it's just like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but we're just going to jump in and see how it goes. But like Chaotic Kingdom Wrestling, the wrestling, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they are awesome. They do a benefit show for us. And there's just so many groups that Heroes and Angels would not be able to be here without, because we rely solely on the support from our community. So
Absolutely.
they're the ones that make this happen for our kids and our families.
That is so cool. So how does that work? Do y'all have people that you're like, okay, you're gonna mow their lawn this week, you're gonna cook for them this week? Like, how do you handle who does what?
Well, usually what happens is I get a call or a text, and then I put the shout out. If I can't do it, then I find somebody.
Cool.
So
I love that
yeah,
so much. Man, oh man.
it's the community that's been built is just, it's an absolutely, it's, there aren't words to describe it, because it's so heartwarming to know. Hey, like, I get out on Facebook and I'm like, hey guys, I've got a family, they need school supplies. And within usually about 30 minutes to an hour, I've got the need covered, then some, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that is
So,
so
but I think
cool.
it helps too when people realize, there are ways that they can help, but it, to them it may not necessarily seem like a big way, but to our families, that's one less thing they have to worry about.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I had a very close friend that went through breast cancer, and all I could think was, what can we do to help? But like you said, I think people are afraid to ask the questions, which is why this podcast came around. Like, man, break that ice. You're never going to learn
yeah,
and you're never going to help if you don't get in and you ask, hey, how can I help
yeah,
you? People are so afraid of
yeah,
hurting feelings.
right. And people are so scared of the questions, or they're so scared. And another big piece of advice that I always give, whether it's, child cancer or, long-term illness, any of that, like when you ask, be like, hey, can I bring you dinner by tonight? Or, hey, would it be cool if we came by and mowed the yard on Thursday? Because a lot of times when you're specific with questions, it helps that person so much, because they have so much going through their minds. You have so many people that are like, hey, let me know if you need anything. Honestly, half the time they can't tell you what they need, because there's so much going on. They have a list that's a mile long. So, if you just start with little things and say, hey, I'm going to bring dinner by on Wednesday, or, I'm going to bring you some first clothes and drop them off at the hospitals, or anything else you need me to bring while I'm coming up there. Things like that are really awesome.
I love that. I love that you're pointing that out, because that was something that I noticed again with my friend that went through this. It was when you asked, what can I do? They're either too shy or they don't know what to tell you.
Mhm.
But when you set it down and were
Right.
like, we're doing dinner these nights, they were like, great. That helps
Yes.
so much.
Yes, because, and that's a big thing too, is it's hard to swallow your pride and ask for help, especially when it seems like something stupid, like, hey, could you bring me dinner to the hospital? Because I mean, there was times I was living off of chips and candy bars out of the vending machines.
Yeah.
So anybody that would have brought me some food, I would have, just kissed the ground they walked on. So I mean, things like that, or fresh clothes, that's a
Yeah.
huge thing.
Man.
So you never know, what small thing that you can do that might just completely turn their entire month around.
Absolutely. So how old is your daughter now?
She is 23 now.
So, okay, so did you know anything about childhood cancer before your daughter's diagnosis? I feel like that's something we don't want to even think about.
It's not. And it's something that I wish people didn't have to think about.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was one of those people that, anytime a St. Jude's commercial came on TV, I'd switch the channel because it was too sad. I didn't want to look at it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the reason, honestly, that a lot of people don't talk about childhood cancer. It's because it's too sad and it's so emotional. And so that's one reason too that I tried to bring the fun side out because these are still kids. They have to deal with that enough. Their childhood is stolen from them. And so, my job, what I feel like my purpose is to give as much of that back to them as I can. And, luckily, like I said before, I'm surrounded by such an amazing group of people that are willing to help me do that, without blinking an eye. But sometimes you have to just be matter of fact about it. You have to talk about it and you have to be like, yeah, this is the way it is. But you can't forget we're still dealing with kids. You've got to, sometimes it's just like, when you're a parent, there's been, countless times, and I know other cancer parents are the same way. You go out in the hallway and you bawl your eyes out for about 5 minutes and then you wipe it off and you go right back in. And I try to take as much off of those parents as I can, because I know that anytime they have the chance to see their kids smile, or their kids having the chance of just being a kid and just being normal, quote unquote, for a day, means the world, So
Man, I love that so much. That's amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing. Do you know any, like off the top of your head, do you know any childhood cancer statistics that might bring it to life for people that are listening?
Oh, I could list a whole bunch for you.
Yeah, let's do one or two.
But
Absolutely.
like the biggest one right now is people don't realize like how little funding childhood cancer gets. From the National Cancer Institute, we get less than 4% of their funding. Yeah. And that's to cover all childhood cancers. There's over 100 different subtypes of childhood cancers. And so, less than 4% of your budget goes to cover all of those. Depending on what type of cancers, there are some cancers like DIPG. I always hate talking about it just because it's so hard, but DIPG is pretty much a 0% chance. The worst thing, honestly, is with most childhood cancers, it's not environmental, and they don't know what causes it. And so not knowing what causes it, you can't fight it. So, I mean, you can't prevent it. So there's no preventative measures for childhood cancer. There's only treatment after it happens. Like for example, my daughter, she has leukemia. Well, we all potentially have those cells in our bodies. So some of them turn into cancer and then some of them don't. They don't know why. That's why I'm a huge advocate for, individualized treatment. I know that they were doing some amazing work like at UAMS where they were, and I am in no way an expert or doctor or a researcher or, so this is all just what I've read. So please don't anybody come at me. But so what they were doing was they were actually taking like vaccines and injecting them into cells, into like cancer cells, so that the body could attack those cancer cells. Because the reason your body doesn't attack cancer cells is because they're your own cells, so they don't see them as a threat.
Wow. Okay.
Which is a big problem because they are a threat.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah, they're getting
yeah.
away. Yeah.
Right.
Man, oh man.
But another thing is a lot of people don't realize what, even though we have all of these kids that survive, people don't realize, like, as an adult, what they have to face. And, obviously there are risks, higher risks for more cancers and different types of cancers as they grow older. But they also have so many health issues that come not even just from the cancer itself or from the chemo, but from the different drugs that they had to be on while they were taking the chemo. For example, like my daughter, she ended up having to have YAG laser and cataract surgery on both of her eyes at 15 years old because of steroid use, because they had to have her on steroids so often and for so long that it causes a certain kind of thing in your eye, which gives you cataracts. And that was just from the steroids that they had to put her on so that her little body was strong enough to get the chemo or the radiation that she was getting.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't think about that. You think about in the
Yeah.
hospital, what you're doing, and that's it. Like I said, when people go
Right.
home, it
Exactly.
continues. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, these kids, their immune systems are shot for the rest of their life, pretty much. They've got it rough.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Now you do something, I was reading up on you. You sent me some talks that you did and some articles, and you do something called the war cry. Can you explain that to
our
us? Like,
battle
what is
cry.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
Okay. So, we have heroes and angels. Obviously, our heroes are kids that are fighting. And our angels are the ones that, aren't here with us anymore. Sorry. I've lost a lot of kids, and it never gets easier. You never get used to it. You never get over it. And I'm the type of person it seems like, with each kid, it gets worse every time, because you feel like you fail them. But from the very beginning, one of our biggest things was that our kids would never be forgotten. I can't speak for every parent, but the parents that have lost a child to cancer, I can tell you, one of their biggest fears is that their child will be forgotten and that nobody will know that they were here. And I made a promise when I began Heroes, when I helped start Heroes and Angels, that I would do everything within my power to make sure that never happened. And so, we talk about our angels all the time. But the biggest way that we honor them is that our Comic-Con each year, we do what is called the battle cry. Our kids did not fight quietly. We don't fight quietly, obviously. I've got a big mouth. I was here for a reason, so I'm going to use it. And so what we do is we stop all sales, stop all games, everything needs to stop in the whole convention. And we read off a list of all of our angels, everyone that we've lost. And then once we finish reading off all of our names, everyone in the building gives the loudest, most obnoxious cry, scream, yell, we have noisemakers, whatever it is, just as loud as you can for our angels. So
That is so cool. I love that.
yeah.
Man, that's too cool. I love it. I love it. So
Well, thank you.
I don't think people understand really what even treatment looks like for a child with cancer.
Well,
I mean, you talked about steroids and chemo, but I mean, their little body, they're fighting like an adult. Yeah.
well, the problem is our kids are getting adult chemo. You don't give your child adult Tylenol, but we're giving them adult chemo. Because we don't have the drugs that we need for our children. So we're using, adult chemo and adult cancer drugs to fight cancer in our children. So, they're on steroids. They have to get blood transfusions. There's spinal taps. They have to go at and there's so much has changed since, my daughter went through, her treatments, but, it was like every other week we were in the hospital for 3 days to get treatment. And then after that, when we got home, she still had to take drugs to flush out the chemo and stuff, because she was at risk of burning up her kidneys when she was passing the chemo, just because the chemo and everything is so strong. And I was actually pregnant the second time that we were going through everything, and then we had to be careful because so crazy. This stuff is so dangerous that, when you're pregnant, you can't be around her just because of the radiation or the chemo that's emitting these out of their body is coming out everywhere. And you see how the nurses and the doctors have to deal with your child, and you're literally sitting there watching them pump poison which it is. It's absolute poison into your child in hopes that it's going to kill this monster that's coming after your kid. And there's nothing you can do but sit there and watch and hope and pray. I can't say it's one. For me, it's the absolute most helpless feeling in the world, because there's absolutely nothing you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Goodness gracious. So how can people find your nonprofit? What's the best way to go about being like, okay, I know somebody going through this, or I myself are going through this. I'd love support. How could they find y'all?
Honestly, the best way is to get in contact with me. You can find me on Facebook. It's Brandy Boyles Bullock, or call me at 501-612-7432. Either text or call. That's the best way. And I will get you whatever you need. I'm even here for like support, because a lot of times, there's not that support there for the parents. Sometimes they just need to call and yell at somebody that understands and can handle, be like, hey, this is not fair. I'm really mad. I just need to yell. Can you just, and I'm like, hey, I got you. Go for it. I'm mad too, so.
Yeah, I'm the bulldog. I can handle it.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I will yell right with you. If you need somebody just to cry while you yell at them, so it feels like you're yelling at some, I can do that too, I try to give what I know that I needed at the time, and that's what I focus on. So it may not be the best way, the most professional way, but for me, it's what I feel guided to do. So
yeah, I think
that's what I do.
I think we need a little bit of all of that. Absolutely. So how can people going through this find more support? Is there something that you found helpful particularly?
Especially in Arkansas, if you check with your child at Children's Hospital, if you're going to Children's Hospital, if you check with your social workers, they have a great list of places, because I know that when we were there, they were, Johnny on the spot. They've got a list of different organizations that can help you. You feel free to reach out to me. I can point you into, different directions with, because I've got a whole list of different organizations that focus on different aspects. Because that's another thing is, some organization with nonprofits, it's so tricky because you have to be very specific in what it is that you do, when you apply for your nonprofit status. So, depending on what the need is at the time, I can find that need for you somewhere else, or I can point you, in a different direction to another organization. Those are the best ways, honestly, is word of mouth. There are tons of childhood cancer support groups online, like on Facebook. Those are great places to start. A lot of those are extremely welcoming. They'll, willing to answer any questions. Very supportive, especially with newly diagnosed families, because when newly diagnosed families, that's one of the hardest things, is because your life just gets completely shattered in a moment, and you have no idea where to go, what to do, what to think, nothing. So,
man, absolutely.
Even just getting you into contact with another family to talk to is a huge thing.
Absolutely. So tell us the name of the nonprofit one more time before we go.
Heroes and Angels.
Heroes and Angels. I love it so much. That is so cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandy, I love it so much. Thank you so much for all that you do, for all that you continue to do. I hope people listening to this, what's one thing that you hope that they take away from this conversation?
That you are the difference. Whether you realize it or not, you are the difference. You have that ability within you.
I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people, if we talk about kids, they talk about your child's advocate. You are the difference. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Brandy, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your nonprofit with us, and just for doing all that you do for these people. How amazing. I couldn't have thought of a better person to do all of this stuff. The bulldog is there. I love it. Everybody listening, Brandy and I are going to continue talking. If you want to hear the rest of the questions, go to patreon.com/TownsendTmusic. If not, we will see you next week. Brandy, I'll catch you later, sis.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
if you'd like to hear the rest of this interview, visit patreon.com/TownsendTmusic. And don't forget, you can also watch the interviews on our YouTube channel at Townsendtmusic YouTube.
Okay, guys, if you're in the market to buy or sell, I have the perfect company for you. Clark & Co. Realty is located in the Benton, Bryant, Arkansas area, but they're able to serve you no matter where you're located in the state. They've streamlined the process of buying or selling a home to make it so much easier. They have a team of industry experts that make sure you have access from anything you can think of. I'm talking from local home inspectors to painters to gardeners and so much more, just to provide you with the best service possible. They're dedicated to providing the most up-to-date market data in the area. And I think the coolest part is if you go on their website, you can use their easy-to-use fast property search. You can even create a custom market report to see what's active, under contract, and sold in your neighborhood. Their team is made up of caring, knowledgeable professionals that work around the clock to help you with the process of buying and selling your home. So again, if you're in the market to buy or sell, Clark & Co. Realty is definitely the company for you. Tell them Townsend sent you. Let's be honest. I think we could all use somebody to talk to every now and then. Healing Path Counseling in Conway, Arkansas is 100% my go-to when it comes to therapy. Wendy Blackwood has more credentials than letters in the alphabet. She's won awards for her outstanding services and has a whole page of board memberships. Basically, she knows what she's doing. She works hard to help equip you with the tools needed to live your best life. She even offers a variety of services, including, but not limited to, cognitive behavioral therapy, technology-assisted counseling, relationship counseling, and EMDR. Trust me, I know therapy can be intimidating at first, but let me assure you, Wendy does her best to make you comfortable and find the best solutions and plans for you. Trust me, don't wait to make the call. Give Wendy Blackwood at Healing Path Counseling a call today. Get started on the best version of you.